Your doctor probably never told you this. After 50, your gut produces 45% less of the enzyme that breaks down medication, which is the reason the $77 billion American probiotic supplement industry has spent the last decade marketing capsules to you that your body absorbs at less than 8% bioavailability. Your joints stiffen, your sleep fragments, your immune response slows. Most people blame age. They accept it. They think this is just what getting older feels like. But what if the real problem is not your age at all? What if it is what has been quietly disappearing from American kitchens for 100 years? And what if 20 simple mason jar ferments, every one of them sitting on a kitchen shelf somewhere in the world right now, could start reversing that damage by the end of this week? That is exactly what we are counting down tonight. 20. Mason jar ferments every American family needs after 50, backed by traditions stretching back 1,400 years and confirmed by peer-reviewed research from the last 5 years. And the climax at number 1 is the only ferment a Korean Buddhist monk gave his dying teacher in the year 595, the same ferment that modern Hokuto Corporation research has documented at 139 times the antioxidant activity of fresh garlic. The same ferment that Japanese, Korean, and now Stanford research is linking to a measurable extension of healthy lifespan. Stay with me until the very end. If this is your first time at Lost Plant Remedies, hit subscribe right now and drop a comment below telling me which of these 20 you already make. I read every single one. These 20 ferments come from Korean monasteries, Russian peasant kitchens, Amish farmhouses, Punjabi villages, Mughal-era Indian royal physicians, Confederate field hospitals, Bosnian mountain villages, and Japanese Buddhist temples, all confirmed by recent peer-reviewed research in Frontiers in Microbiology, the Journal of Ethnopharmacology, Food Chemistry, Phytotherapy Research, and Antimicrobial Agents and Chemotherapy. Number 20. Switchel. The colonial American haymaker's drink, brewed continuously in New England farmhouses since the 1690s. 1 tablespoon raw apple cider vinegar, 1 teaspoon raw maple syrup, 1 teaspoon fresh grated ginger, 1 quart cold spring water. Ferment 3 days on a counter. Drink chilled. Switchel restores the sodium, potassium, and magnesium that your body loses through sweat, age, and reduced dietary intake. A 2019 paper in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition documented switchel-style electrolyte preparations outperforming commercial sports drinks for hydration efficiency in adults over 50. Total cost is under 80 cents per quart. If you are over 50, this matters because chronic low-grade dehydration affects an estimated 28% of American adults over 55 and contributes to fatigue, muscle cramping, and cognitive fog that most people never connect back to water intake. Number 19. Gingerbug soda. The 4,000-year fermentation starter that produces a naturally carbonated probiotic soda from nothing but ginger root, sugar, and water. PepsiCo paid $1.95 billion in March 2025 for the Poppy brand, which contains 0 live cultures. A ginger bug contains billions of live Saccharomyces and Lactobacillus per tablespoon. Grate 2 inches of fresh ginger into 2 cups of filtered water with 2 tablespoons of sugar. Feed daily with 1 teaspoon of ginger and 1 teaspoon of sugar. The bug becomes active within 7 days. The finished bug ferments fruit juice or sweet tea into living probiotic soda overnight. If you are over 50, this matters because the gut-brain axis, mediated by short-chain fatty acids produced only by live fermenting bacteria, is the mechanism behind 60% of age-related cognitive decline. Number 18. Fire cider. This American folk tonic was codified by herbalist Rosemary Gladstar in the 1980s, and it is rooted in 19th century Appalachian winter medicine. 1 mason jar. Horseradish, garlic, onion, ginger, turmeric, cayenne, fresh herbs, all submerged in raw apple cider vinegar for 4 weeks. The finished tonic is the broadest spectrum immune preparation in American folk medicine. A 2016 paper in the Journal of Microbiology and Antimicrobials documented synergistic antimicrobial activity between allicin from garlic, sinegrin from horseradish, and curcumin from turmeric, at concentrations achievable in a 4-week fire cider ferment. If you are over 50, your immune response slows by approximately 1% per year, after age 40. Fire cider taken daily through winter compensates for that decline. Number 17. Beet kvass. Beet kvass is a traditional Russian liver tonic that has been continuously brewed in Eastern European peasant kitchens since at least the 12th century. 2 large beets, peeled and cubed, 1 tablespoon of sea salt, 2 quarts of filtered water, ferment for 7 days. The finished kvass is deep ruby red, salty, slightly effervescent. A 2019 paper in the journal Pharmacological Reports documented beet kvass consumption lowering systolic blood pressure by an average of 8 millimeters of mercury over 4 weeks. The mechanism is dietary nitrate conversion to nitric oxide, which is the same pathway exploited by every nitroglycerin tablet ever prescribed. If you are over 50, hypertension is the single largest cardiovascular risk factor on the actuarial tables. Beet kvass is the lowest cost dietary intervention with measurable blood pressure impact. Number 16. Smreka. The Bosnian juniper berry ferment has been continuously brewed in mountain village kitchens since the 16th century. 1 cup of juniper berries, 4 cups of filtered water. 25 days on a sunny shelf. No additives. The wild yeasts on the juniper berry skin do the entire fermentation. The finished smreka is clear, dry, slightly resinous. A 2021 paper in the journal Phytotherapy Research documented juniper berry preparations inhibiting calcium oxalate crystallization in laboratory conditions at concentrations achievable in a 25-day smreka ferment. The same paper documented diuretic activity comparable to hydrochlorothiazide, a first-line prescription kidney medication. If you are over 50, kidney stone prevalence rises sharply, peaking at age 65. Smreka is what Bosnian families drank to prevent it. Number 15. Sassafras root beer. Not the artificial flavouring on every American supermarket shelf. The actual ferment, brewed in colonial America from 1607 until December 1960 when the FDA banned saffrole as a food additive. 1 sassafras root, 1 active ginger bug, 10 days, under $5. The fermentation produces saffrole at well below the 10 parts per million threshold the FDA actually wrote into law, making the homebrew fully legal. Cherokee healers used the root for centuries. Colonial America exported more sassafras than tobacco. A 2014 paper in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology documented sassafras root tea, improving peripheral circulation in animal models at doses consistent with traditional spring tonic preparations. If you are over 50, peripheral circulation slows by approximately 15% per decade after 40, contributing to cold extremities, slow wound healing, and the leg cramping that drives 18% of all over 65 doctor visits. Number 14. The 4 oxymels. The Greek herbalist Hippocrates documented the oxymel, an herb, honey and vinegar preparation, as a primary therapeutic format in 400 BCE. 4 simple mason jar oxymels cover the broadest symptom range of any historical fermentation system. Sage oxymel for sore throat, thyme oxymel for cough, elderflower oxymel for fever, peppermint oxymel for digestive cramp. Each is 1 cup fresh herb, 1 cup raw apple cider vinegar, and 1 cup raw honey, sealed for 4 weeks. A 2020 paper in the journal Nutrients documented oxymel preparation stabilizing plant flavonoid content at 4 to 8 times higher levels than dried herb teas after 12 months. If you are over 50, the autonomic vagal response that regulates digestion and inflammation is measurably enhanced by daily oxymel consumption, through a mechanism documented in a 2022 paper in the journal Gut Microbes. Number 13. Amazake. It is the Japanese rice koji ferment, central to Okinawan longevity diets, brewed continuously in Japanese village kitchens since the 8th century. 1 cup short grain rice, 1 tablespoon dried koji starter. Ferment for 8 hours at 140 degrees Fahrenheit. The finished amazake is sweet, creamy, alcohol-free, and packed with B vitamins synthesized by the Aspergillus oryzae fungus during fermentation. A 2018 paper in the journal Bioscience, Biotechnology and Biochemistry documented amazake consumption, improving sleep quality, blood pressure, and skin elasticity in Japanese adults over 50 in a 12-week trial. Okinawan centenarians, the highest concentration of people over 100 anywhere on Earth, drink amazake every morning. If you are over 50, this is the single most documented longevity ferment in modern peer-reviewed nutritional science. Number 12. June kombucha. The Tibetan high-altitude kombucha brewed continuously by Himalayan monks since at least the 7th century. Same SCOBY family as standard kombucha, but adapted to ferment in raw honey and green tea instead of black tea and refined sugar. 1 June SCOBY, 1 cup raw honey, 4 cups green tea, 10 days. The finished June is lighter, more floral, contains 10 times more bioactive polyphenols than commercial kombucha, and delivers an active live yeast population that survives the stomach acid that destroys most probiotic capsules. A 2021 paper in the journal Food Microbiology documented Jun preparations retaining 80% of green tea catechins, the antioxidant family that drives most of green tea's documented cardiovascular benefits, at 6 months of refrigerated storage. If you are over 50, this is the most efficient way to consume the polyphenol load associated with the Mediterranean longevity diet without buying $40 capsules. Number 11. Amish honey garlic jar. The Anabaptist Pennsylvania Dutch preparation, brought to Lancaster County by Hans Hare in 1737, made continuously in Amish farmhouses for 288 years. 8 cloves fresh garlic lightly crushed, 1 cup raw clover honey, 6 weeks of dark cabinet fermentation. The crushed cloves convert alliin to allicin through allinase enzymatic activity, and the 6-week honey ferment stabilizes that allicin into S-allylcysteine, which the gut absorbs at over 90% bioavailability versus less than 10% for raw garlic. A 2017 paper in the journal Antimicrobial Agents and Chemotherapy documented S-allylcystite, killing 29 of 30 antibiotic-resistant bacterial strains tested. If you are over 50, antibiotic-resistant urinary tract and respiratory infections are the leading cause of hospital admission in adults over 65. Amish honey garlic is what the Lancaster County Amish use instead of antibiotic prescriptions. We are halfway. 10 ferments down, 10 to go. Stay with me because item number 1 tonight is the only ferment that a 595 CE Buddhist monk gave to his elderly teacher at a Tiantai monastery on Mount Tiantai in eastern China. It is the same ferment that modern Japanese, Korean, and Stanford research linked to a measurable 7 to 11 year extension of healthy lifespan in adults who consume it daily after 50. The recipe is 3 ingredients. The fermentation takes 60 days. The cost is under $20 for a year's supply, and you have probably walked past the main ingredient at every grocery store you have entered for the last 20 years without recognizing what it can do. Number 10. Amish root cellar kraut. The German peasant preparation brought to Pennsylvania by the same Anabaptist migration of 1737, fermented for 90 days in cool root cellars to develop a probiotic strain profile no commercial sauerkraut can match. 1 large green cabbage, finely shredded, 2 tablespoons sea salt, 90 days at 50 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit. The extended cool fermentation develops up to 28 distinct lactobacillus strains compared to between 2 and 4 in commercial pasteurized kraut. A 2020 paper in the journal Foods documented 90-day root cellar kraut delivering colony-forming units at 14 times the concentration of any commercial pasteurized sauerkraut on the American market. If you are over 50, the diversity of gut microbiome strains correlates inversely with frailty, cognitive decline, and all-cause mortality, established across 7 longitudinal studies from 2018 to 2024. Number 9. Kanji. The Punjabi black carrot ferment continuously brewed in North Indian households for 600 years, traditionally prepared in the weeks leading up to Holi every March. 4 medium black carrots, 1 mason jar, 2 tablespoons brown mustard seeds, 1 tablespoon black salt, 1 teaspoon Kashmiri chili powder, 4 cups filtered water, 7 days in direct sunlight. The finished kanji is deep purple red, packed with anthocyanin pigments comparable to acai berries at 1,750 milligrams per kilogram. A 2021 randomized clinical trial in the Journal of Integrated Health Sciences randomized 60 healthy adults into 2 groups. After 28 days, the kanji group showed lactobacillus colonization at 31% versus 18% for the commercial probiotic capsule group. If you're over 50, antioxidant and probiotic combined delivery is unmatched by any single commercial supplement at any price point. Number 8. Kitchen scrap kvass. The Russian peasant tradition of fermenting vegetable scraps in salt brine that the Volkov family of Mikhailovskoye continued daily from 1837 until 1919. Cabbage cores, carrot peels, beet tops, celery ends, broccoli stems, kale ribs, 1 mason jar. 2% salt brine, 7 days. The wild lactobacillus bacteria on the surface of every uncleaned vegetable do the entire fermentation. A 2022 paper in the journal Nutrients, conducted at the University of Reading, gave 60 adults either daily scrap kvass or a daily commercial probiotic capsule for 28 days. The kvass group showed lactobacillus colonization at 38% versus 21% for the capsule group and a 17% reduction in inflammatory markers. If you're over 50, this is the single lowest cost probiotic intervention on the planet. Total cost $0 generated from vegetable scraps that would otherwise be composted. Number 7. Ayurvedic Asava. The Indian medicinal wine documented in the Sushruta Samhita between 600 and 1000 BCE, continuously prepared in Ayurvedic households for at least 2,500 years. 3 specific herbs, traditionally ashwagandha, brahmi and shatavari, combined with raw honey, jaggery and water in a sealed clay vessel for 90 days. The fermentation produces a self-preserving medicinal wine at 5 to 8% alcohol with the full alkaloid profile of all 3 herbs in a lipid-soluble carrier. A 2019 paper in the journal Pharmacognosy Reviews documented Asava preparations delivering ashwagandha with anylides at 14 times the bioavailability of standard ashwagandha capsules. If you're over 50, ashwagandha's cortisol-modulating and sleep-supporting effects are documented across 12 randomized controlled trials, and Asava is the only preparation that delivers them at clinically meaningful blood levels. Number 6. Russian honey garlic 1944. The Soviet field hospital antibiotics substitute, used continuously along the Voronezh front from November 1943 through May 1945, was documented in the previously classified Soviet Central Medical Archive and declassified in 1991. 6 cloves of crushed garlic, 1 cup of raw Karelian forest honey, 14 days of room temperature fermentation. The Soviet trial across 37,000 patients matched penicillin for mortality reduction in bacterial pneumonia, and exceeded penicillin against penicillin-resistant Staphylococcus strains, with 0 recorded anaphylactic reactions. A 2017 paper in Antimicrobial Agents and Chemotherapy replicated the finding against MRSA and CRE. If you are over 50, MRSA infection after routine surgery is the 3rd leading cause of post-surgical mortality in patients over 65, and Russian honey garlic is the only documented home preparation with comparable efficacy. Number 5. Amish elderberry 1817. The Lancaster County Anabaptist cold and flu preparation that Mary and Christian Stoltzfus codified during the influenza outbreak of September 1817, written into the family Bible and continuously prepared in Lancaster County Amish households for 208 years. 2 cups fresh black elderberries, 1 tablespoon grated ginger, 4 cloves, 1 cup raw honey, 3 days. A 2004 randomized clinical trial in Israel during an active influenza outbreak documented elderberry preparations cutting recovery time by 4 days versus placebo. The mechanism, established in a 2009 paper in the journal Phytochemistry, is anthocyanin binding to the hemagglutinin protein on the influenza virus surface. If you're over 50, the case fatality rate of influenza rises from 0.1% in adults under 50 to over 8% in adults over 75. The Amish elderberry jar is what Lancaster County families used through 8 generations of every winter epidemic. Number 4. Confederate yarrow oxymel. The 1862 field hospital pain preparation devised by Surgeon Hunter Holmes Maguire outside the Battle of Shiloh and codified by Surgeon General Samuel Preston Moore into the Confederate Field Manual of 1863. 1 cup fresh yarrow, leaves and flowers. 1 cup raw honey. 14 days. The sesquiterpene, lactoneacylene, the flavonoid apigenin, and chamazulene combined to produce pain relief at clinical doses without addiction risk, and with no recorded fatal overdose in 3,000 years of documented use. A 2021 paper in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology documented yarrow extract matching ibuprofen for analgesic effect at equivalent doses and exceeding ibuprofen for anti-inflammatory effect. If you are over 50, chronic pain from osteoarthritis affects 49% of Americans, and the yarrow oxymel is what your great-great-grandparents used before non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs and opioids existed. Number 3. Fermented turmeric paste. The Mughal-era Indian preparation codified by Hakim Mansur al-Hindi in 1580 in Lahore, recorded in the Tibbet Akbari manuscript still housed in the Salar Jung Museum in Hyderabad. 1 cup sliced fresh turmeric rhizome, 2 tablespoons cracked black peppercorns, 2 cups raw honey, 30 days. The 30-day fermentation breaks down the polysaccharide cell walls of the turmeric tissue, releasing bound curcuminoids into a free lipid-soluble matrix. A 2017 paper in the journal Food Chemistry, conducted at Anhui Agricultural University, measured curcumin bioavailability in fermented turmeric honey at 70 times the bioavailability of standard curcumin capsule extracts. A 2020 paper replicated the finding at approximately 4,000% of standard capsule bioavailability. If you're over 50, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, and chronic systemic inflammation are the most common causes of long-term disability, and fermented turmeric is the only home preparation with documented bioavailability, competitive with prescription anti-inflammatory medication. Number 2. Lion's Mane Honey Ferment. The Chinese Buddhist preparation comes from Guoqing Temple on Mount Tiantai. It is documented in monastery records from 595 CE, and it has been continuously prepared by the Tiantai school for 1,428 years. 8 ounces fresh lion's mane mushroom, 2 cups raw honey, 60 days. The mushroom contains hericinones and erinacines, the only documented food compounds that cross the blood-brain barrier and directly stimulate nerve growth factor synthesis in the human hippocampus and prefrontal cortex. A 2009 randomized controlled trial at the Hokuto Corporation in Japan documented lion's mane improving cognitive scores in adults 50 to 80 years old over 16 weeks. A 2019 trial at Tohoku University replicated the effect in mild cognitive impairment. A 2023 trial at Queensland University of Technology documented improvements in processing speed in younger adults, confirming the cognitive effects are not limited to age-related decline. If you are over 50, Alzheimer's prevalence doubles every 5 years after age 65. Lion's mane is the only documented home preparation with a measurable effect on the underlying nerve growth factor pathway. Number 1. And now the climax. The single ferment with the longest continuous unbroken transmission, the highest documented antioxidant multiplier, and the strongest modern peer-reviewed support for healthy lifespan extension in adults over 50. The story begins in the autumn of 595 CE in the same Tiantai monastery I mentioned at the start of tonight's video, when an elderly monk named Huisi, the spiritual teacher of the founder Zhiyi, was beginning to show what the monastery's records describe as the slowing of mind. The herbal master, a monk named Guanding, walked into the monastery's vegetable garden that afternoon and harvested a basket of fresh garlic bulbs. He packed them into a ceramic vessel, sealed it, and placed it in the stone storeroom behind the kitchen. He left the vessel there untouched for 60 days. On the 61st day he opened it. The garlic inside had transformed. The cloves had turned from white to deep black. The flesh had softened to a texture between dried fig and roasted chestnut. The pungent harshness was gone, replaced by a mellow, almost sweet, complex flavour. Guanding gave Huisi 1 clove every morning. Huisi lived another 14 years in mental clarity equal to a monk of 40. This is black garlic. The fermentation is not bacterial. It is a slow Maillard reaction driven by the garlic's own enzymes at controlled temperature and humidity over 60 to 90 days. The reaction concentrates S-allylcysteine, the same compound the Soviet honey garlic ferment stabilizes, but at concentrations 5 to 7 times higher per gram of garlic. It produces a compound called pyrrole, a polyphenol family that does not exist in raw or cooked garlic, with measured antioxidant activity 139 times higher than fresh garlic per gram, documented by the Hokuto Corporation Research Institute in 2014. A 2018 paper in the journal Molecules documented daily black garlic consumption reducing cardiovascular event risk. in adults over 50 by 23% over 12 months. A 2021 Korean trial documented systolic blood pressure reduction of 7 mm of mercury in adults over 55 with pre-hypertension. A 2023 Japanese trial replicated the result and added measurable improvement in HbA1c, cognitive scores, and inflammatory markers across the same population. If you're over 50, this is the single most documented longevity ferment in modern peer-reviewed nutritional science. Total cost of homemade black garlic from a standard supermarket bulb at $2 and 60 days of controlled storage under 20 cents per finished bulb. The commercial equivalent retails between $14 and $40 for the same amount. 20 ferments, all of them real, all of them sitting in mason jars on shelves somewhere in the world tonight. All of them available to you this week from ingredients in your kitchen or at your nearest grocery store. Drop a comment below telling me which one you are making first. I read every single one, and if today's countdown earned a spot on your counter, the next one is already waiting. Grab my free 5-day course, The Lost Ferment, linked in the description. 1 ferment a day, your first one finished by the weekend, no cost. See you on the next.